Alrighty folks, we're gonna be changing out a wheel bearing on an '09 GMC Sierra, or at least attempting to. These wheel bearings can actually get seized up in here, but if you nothing to do it, you can get it out. Hammer is gonna be your best friggin' friend in this entire endeavor. Okay, if you don't have something 4-pound or bigger for this job, don't even bother, because realistically it's the only way that you're going to get that bearing to come out. And I live in the Rust Belt. Have I coated it? Nope. Should I have? Yep. And that's why this video is going to be attempting to put a wheel bearing in. So, yeah, you're going to need, for the main nut here, after you get your cover off, your dust cover off, you're going to need a 36 millimeter axle nut socket. 36 mil axle nut socket. I usually just blast it right off. I have no qualm. Realistically, folks, yes, you could do this with a breaker bar, but save yourself the headache. Go get yourself an impact. Even if it's just one of those electric impacts that are driven by a cord, an extension cord. You know, you can get a lot of jobs done with that. Now, so bring your axle back on once you get the washer off, because what you're going to be doing is getting your CV axle to go backwards. Don't worry, because GM for years has actually had, unlike the Ford counterparts, has had CV axles that can completely 110% collapse. That is the one thing about GM that this man likes. Okay, you got that. Well, if you remember, folks, we've already put brakes on this truck. That's where this slotted rotor comes from. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one. So we're going to need a T30 to take this out. And I could take this out later, but now, since I'm not really going to do brake brakes, I usually just tap it with the hammer to get it to break free from the rotor. Then, where did my 18 mil go? The 18 is actually what you got. Your slider pins are your 19s. Your actual main caliper bracket is an 18. Do not put a 19 on your caliper bracket. 19 is for the slider pins. Now, how I'm going to be holding the caliper up is just with a couple zip ties. This is where we're going to turn the wheel. Full lock, so that we actually can get back in here, and now we have all this room. Alright, so now that we have all this room, let me reposition the camera a little bit. Now that we can actually get back in here, oh, where'd me smaller one go? You know, for those that don't think the little stubbies have any power, I'm going to show you you're wrong. Although, person commented in the last video that the Astro is better than the Earthquake, and realistically, kind of want to give the Astro a try. Am I on number 3? Yeah, I'm on number 3. Now, let's just get the extension off. Let's go straight on here. No, I still need the stub, huh? Okay. It's been a few months since I changed one of these out. Okay. We're going hog wild. That's gonna fit. Can't remember, I didn't go back. I can't even remember what we put on the threads of these in the last video. I think we did put orange on these, folks. Well, we're going to be putting more orange back on, so I'm not too worried. Where'd my screwdriver go? Now, I usually will just put it on the coil spring and then find a wonderful place along the bracket. In this case, I'm just going to use the actual bolt hole because I got a long enough zip tie here. Okay, and then I can get my caliper out of the way. Okay, now we can slide the rotor off. We can actually even check and see that we can slide the rotor off. Now, we can get to these back 2 bolts now. Which are 15s. Can I get the big one in here? Come on. Okay. There's one. Yeah. It's a shorter extension. might have to go back and get the heck with it. Let's try this stub. Moving today. Yeah, probably didn't oil it. Well, I'm gonna go dig a little and we'll be right back because I'm also gonna oil that. Okay, now we got some tools to play with. You know, you gotta do that every once in a while. Change up your game and make sure that. Alright, right there. Where did my air hose go, folks? Got a brand new air hose. Trying it out now. Absolutely love it. Okay. Okay. There's 2 out. Now, they're both the same. So, actually all 3 of them are the same. Now, the backing plate that goes for your shield of your rotor is actually sandwiched between your knuckle assembly and your hub bearing. So when you pull this 3rd bolt out, and we're going to crank the wheel the other way to get that 3rd bolt out. When this bearing comes out, you're going to see that this shield will come out. I'll crank the wheel and I'll show you folks what I'm talking about. Because that shield has to go back on the same way that it came off. Let me see if I can get a decent shot of this bolt here, because yeah, right in here, this bolt right here. Now you've got this connector that comes down and you got all these plastic clips. Make sure when you get your new bearing that it comes with all the plastic clips, or else you're gonna have to reuse the plastic clips. So this is the bearing we're using, and as you can see, we got that gray clip. We got a clip back here. That'd be this one. And we got the clip on the connector. This wire, do not damage it, and make sure that it runs the same exact way. When you take it out, you know, make a picture for yourself, you know, pull out your phone, make a picture so that you can figure out where it ran, okay? You do not want this wire binding because you put it in wrong, because that's going to throw your ABS off, and if it throws your ABS off, it's also going to throw your StabiliTrak off. It's also going to throw your traction control off, and then you're going to end up with the Christmas tree on the dash of lights. So So yeah. Technically, you could just break them off because, well, if your bearing comes with all the connectors, all these plastic little clips. Now, there. There we go. Make sure that it runs through the shield up here and then over top of your A-arm, clips in to your brake line bracket. And in our case, because we got the caliper draped over here, we got to make sure that it goes underneath the hose and then comes back up here and then clips in up there. I actually got that all in shot. No, I didn't. I'm going to show you again what I'm talking about. Right here is the connector. You got your plug coming up through and around. And where we got our caliper sitting right now, we got to go underneath the hose, over top of the A-arm connector, where the hose is. Now, connector where the hose is, and then way the heck up in here next to where the hose actually literally mounts again, that's where it's clipped in again. Now, like I said, this bracket here, folks, is just held in by the hub bearing itself. So when you take it out, this shield is going to come with you. You have to have that back on, because that's also, it's a weird way of how they got it to space out. So there we go. Sometimes these bearings will come out on their own. I envy you people that are down in like Texas, where you know you don't have the rust. I'm going to give you a little crash course on how you whack these. You really don't want to go straight down, you want to come in at an angle. And then come where the caliper is. Just kind of work around so that you're actually getting it to come out and not just and see, this is where kind of medium blows with a heavy hammer are a lot nicer than heavy blows with a light hammer. So and now we've got our bearing out. I dented the shield a little. Alright, now realistically, if you had the axle out, I'd say do a lot more cleanup in here, but I'm just gonna and the thing went like that, right? Ready to go like that, folks. I think it went more like that. And see, this is why you gotta be paying attention. So, now, how I do it is I push the axle to the side. Okay. Kind of and just kind of clean it up in here. You're not looking for surgical cleanliness, but you are looking for it being clean. Why? It's so that if you actually have to take this bearing back out, it comes out. That's one thing I've been reading on the forums, is these bearings are actually dying. Well, that one's still really tight, but I didn't trust it. Something was howling. I didn't know if it was this one or the other side, but we're just going to set that right on top of the old bearing. Now, around here, where it would contact inside, that's where I'm going to put the anti-seize. Not a gusher full, but you know, enough to, you know, make it worth the time. Now, realistically, I also like to put a little anti-seize in, not on the threads, on the splines of the axle. If you get any on this threading of this axle, wipe it off, brake clean it, whatever you have to do to get it off, because it's going to mess with, if you are one of those people that are really sensitive to torquing everything, it's going to mess with your torque setting. For me, I like to do it because realistically, I go by feel with the torque, and if what I feel is, you know, 150 foot-pounds, it could be with the lubricant 200 foot-pounds. So now I'm going to tell you a cool trick. Take one of the bolts, preferably actually the top one, stick it in there, and then feed your wire through. Okay, your wires are through, so what you want to do then, just get your bearing up in here. this is easier to do why it's easier to do is with two people. Okay. That, you know, kind of being sick for the past week and a half or so. So yeah, that's kind of why, folks, we haven't been doing videos, is I've been sick. Okay, so for those of you that have been worried about me, yeah, I've been sick. And no, not with corona. Something though. Practically had everything at once, it seemed like. Flu, stomach flu, and then, come on, there. Now it's not really bolted in, but, come on. Now we can pull the top bolt. Well, actually, we can push the axle back. We can put. Now, I am going to be using. Whoa! Oh, come here. I'm going to be using orange Loctite, orange thread locker. Why? Because I don't want it to come off unless it freaking needs to come off. But if it needs to come off, I want it to come off. So I want sometimes I bind up a little bit. Okay, now we got that one almost in. Okay. Now, realistically, folks, it's a matter of bolting this thing back up. Okay. Somebody's texting me hard. Okay. Alright. Sorry about that, folks. So now we got the 3 out of the 4, 2 out of the 3 bolts in. Now, where the heck did the other 3rd bolt go? Okay. Throw that over there. I can do that. Okay. So once you get all the bolts in, what I usually do is actually using the little impact as kind of a work tool where I know at what setting it will stop. There's that bolt. Okay. Now let's get all right. Great. Let's go there. And we're gonna right there, and here we go. Pulling plastic in, so they're locked, and then that down in there. Okay. Now, realistically, from this point forward, all we've got left is to put the rotor on, and I'm going to share the secret with you on making sure your rotors come off. It's hub center. Make sure that you don't get anything on your stud. And if you need to smear it around, like I said, get it off the studs. But we're ready to put our rotor back on, but I want to get these bolts kind of a lot more tightened down than they are. So I'm going to crank the wheel, and I'm actually going to set the impact to number 1 and give it some. Now, I highly recommend getting your back hub bolts bolted up and tight before you get your center axle nut, because it'll wobble on you just enough to throw off your torque. Okay? So, okay, moving forward. That seems a little light. Okay, that. That's tight. Now, yeah, we're gonna have to turn the wheel, but you know. Okay, so that all of you can figure it out on your own. Essentially, from the point of taking the wheel off, now, here's what I've been doing for center nut. I've been putting the Mini on a number 3 in the forward position, and I pretty much draw the axle in that way. But you gotta have your steering. Gotta have your steering wheel straight, okay? So that when you're putting this together, it's gonna draw in nice. I can already tell this one's gonna draw in nice, so. Now I get it, some of you are gonna say, oh, that bearing's gonna fail on you because you're working it with an impact. All right, now you're installed. You want to take, and you want to find these tapered slots in your rotor and line them up with that. That's your hole. So that you can actually just but we're going to put a little bit not as gobbed up as we put the ones for the hub bearing in. Now I really don't understand it because these trucks like to go through front end parts a lot. Whether you drive them nice or not, apparently they like to go through front end parts. And I don't know whether it's everybody's buying Chinese junk, if they're just abusing it, or what, but apparently people are finding out that these trucks are kind of maintenance hogs. So now I'm still going to put a little bit of anti-seize in a line here around the in between the studs. But I think by this point, if you can't figure it out how to put the caliper on, you've got other issues. So this video's run pretty long as it is. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.